It's just so disappointing when you get the efforts that you got from the starting pitcher, from Jesus Luzardo coming back and taking a bullpen day and pitching huge innings, and a couple other relievers getting the job done. And to lose the game the way that you did, to have it unravel on you the way that it did because of Ryan Kirkering doesn't know where to go with a baseball in a key spot, and then just piss poor, just absolutely piss poor at bats from the top of the lineup, just god awful at bats from the top of the lineup. And I guess, like, let's sift through it even a few days later. Like, I don't know how much people want to, get into that exercise, but I think we got to talk about what we saw and what it means.
Yeah, I mean, so there's no question that in my mind they lose this series because they didn't hit. I mean, the pitching was, on the whole, I thought was fantastic. I mean, when you look at the numbers, believe it or not, the Phillies out everything the Dodgers. Like every statistical category, they were better than the Dodgers in offensively, and they weren't. And the Phillies weren't good, but that's how good the Phillies pitching was that they limited the Dodgers to very little in the 4 games. So clearly, it was the fact that the Phillies didn't hit. But I like to think, looking at it right now, Bob, I'm going to try and foretell the future. And my foretelling of the future is when we look back at this era, we're going to look at this series and say, yeah, that one wasn't so bad. I think we're going to look back at this era, and obviously we're going to say choking to the Diamondbacks was one of the worst losses ever in the history of man. Losing to the Mets really, really sucked. That was terrible. But losing to the Dodgers, even though you lost in one of the most improbable ways ever in the final game, the way you got walked off was unfathomable. I don't think we'll ever see it again. When we look back at it, we're going to sit there and go, they lost to a really, really good team. And the other team pitched as well, if not better than the Phillies did. And there were 1 or 2 little moments in these 3 losses that swung the series.
Well, I think that when we look back on it, it's very likely that we're going to be looking back at a team. They lost to a team that I think is going to be back-to-back World Series champions. At this point, I would be stunned if the Dodgers did not win it all. And I know that the regular season record wasn't quite there. I know that they did not have the season that they expected to have, but you go back to March. I mean, the talk around the industry was that this might be the best team that we've seen in the last 30 years. Yeah. And when you look at it play out right now, do they have some holes? Yeah, they do, but they're a damn good team. And I think that they're by far the best team that was in this playoff field. I really don't think that there's a close second. When I still try to process what we watched, though, it's so frustrating because the Phillies' game plan from a pitching aspect was phenomenal in this series. And their bulk of the time and the vast majority of these pitchers, they were able to execute the game plan in a near flawless fashion. And I think that not only were they so damn good, but the thing that was really impressive about it was that they had to make pitch after pitch after pitch with absolutely no margin for error. It's not like, I mean, yes, I know in game 3 that they broke things open late, but for the most part, they had no wiggle room. Not only did they not have wiggle room in the scoreboard, but they knew coming into these games that this team probably wasn't going to hit. And so to still go out and execute to that degree, I think that there's something that's, I don't know, maybe at least a little bit admirable about that and that you can take away from it and say.
I'll give you a perfect example. So before game 4, I was talking to Scott Boras. He's at pretty much every Dodgers game, him and his entire troop of his agency representatives. They're all wearing the Boras baseball jerseys, right? Like they all got the matching shirts on. And obviously wanted to talk to him a little bit about Ranger Suarez, he's going to be a free agent after the season kind of thing. And he pointed it out. And he said, not just Ranger. He's talking about like all the Phillies pitching. He's like, there's some really good players in that lineup over there who are not hitting. He's talking about Ohtani and Betts and Freeman that were not hitting the ball against Phillies pitching. And, to be able to keep them off balance as well, I think you're right. You nailed it. I think that their pitching plan coming into this series, with the lone exception maybe to sit there and say, do you go a second time to David Robertson in game 1 or for a second inning? With that lone exception, I think the pitching plan was as perfect as it could have been against the Dodgers.